Yay!
Eureka.
Praise the Lord. Well, I am so happy to have you guys just what we did the two old geezers the last couple of weeks. Now we've got some young people. We got five here because Ashley's with baby. That's so beautiful. Uh, that's I had some counselors come in today to the store, and I talked to them for about an hour, and they were so delighted they ended up buying the drum. And it's like that's how I feel like I'm being of service is making that by appointment only and taking some time to take care of myself because they say if you're gonna endure in your relationships, you first have to start with yourself. And so I usually start this with prayer, but I smudge myself off, and I'm working on turning this place into a church, a 501c3 nonprofit. That's always been my dream, is to have a business that runs that can support the nonprofit. Churches do it all the time. And teaching drum making, rattle making, flute making, and the Red Road teachings. That's do the best I can today. And Mandy's, I'm so grateful to have my sweetie. And she's safely back in London, and because she had a round trip ticket, but she's coming back in 2 weeks. And it gives us a chance to look at all those documents the attorneys write up. And, it's I was hoping I don't know how to do this thing. I'm so grateful for Ashley because she saves my butt a lot of times. And there's a connection between the elders, the adults, and the children. And Ashley is one of her goals is to make a place for Frankie and other children to be safe. And she's flying all over the world for Lululemon, the latest high bidder in the job world. And I say it the way I look at it. I don't know how you see it, Bob, but jobs are going away. So it wasn't.
I would say that the odds are real good. Jobs are going to start going away.
Well, I mean, I do lots of jobs. I'm the janitor, the marketing director, the accountant. So when you're a leader, you have to lead in all directions. You just can't lead in the things you like to do.
One of the things that hadn't started, but it's going to be reflective pretty soon. Farmers are just dying because of the
Well, I think for us to tell our stories, not for how many subscribers I have or anything like that, but just to, I love the, the, the Gospel of Thomas. I'm a Christian. I'd say that Jesus Christ was a prophet and taught peace, the peacemaker, not the warmongers. So now we've got a big war going on, and if you turn the TV on, I'll be kind of avoiding watching the news because it's not really news. It's what they're calling news. These big networks that are owned by billionaires. So breaking the spells, the three spells that Bob and I there's not enough and more is better, and that's just the way it is. So I make drums, and that's my legal tender. Because I can trade drums. I've traded drums for an operation for I couldn't pee, and I went to the doctor and I brought him this beautiful painted drum, and I said, I want to make you a gift. And he never sent me a bill. He did surgery on me. So I'm grateful for doctors, but they're not in charge of my health. I am. So the Netties have taught me a whole lot, and so has 51 years of sobriety. And how many addictions there are. The addiction to work. That's we're all from the Scar clan, and if we make peace with our mom and our father, which I did, I was with my mother when she died, and I made a vow I don't want to die in a damn hospital. So I've done my end of life where I watched my mother. I knew when her spirit left her body, but they kept her alive another week. So you can see when somebody dies, they have a death rattle. And they go into that death rattle. I don't know, I did hospice work as a counselor. And I'd go to counsel dying people. And that's such powerful work, because it puts things in perspective about how precious it is to be here and not take it for granted. So the second half of life, I was reading that book today. I like to read a little bit in preparation. And then I like to watch the videos after I do them. I was looking at this video I did for Nike. I did a drum making and taught them all how to make drums. And one of the guys that was in that circle came in the store a couple of days ago. He said, I want to take a picture of you and I want to send it to their marketing director and their design department. That's what Ashley did, you know, that's what she's doing. Very talented. And so's Casey. And they're in the process of making babies. And when you got babies, nobody gets sicker than a little baby, I tell you. And to get together with other kids and they all catch what, they all put them in little boxes. But I'd love to turn Bear Creek into a place that is the adults, the children, the elders, and teaching. And inclusion equals commitment. So many people, when they raise money, and I raised millions of dollars for nonprofits, that's what I did. And I was also a therapist and an artist. But what are the 3 C's? Avoid criticizing, avoid comparing yourself to anybody else, and do the best you can do each day. So my intention is to leave the sink clean when I go to bed tonight, and to do one day at a time and not get caught into, when's this war going to end? Well, wars never end. That's just part of life, and there's an art to war. So I've learned a lot, so has Bob, and I think sharing and teaching is what I enjoy doing. And last week I was by myself because Bob couldn't get on, but I did a damn good job. I looked at it and said, wow. If I don't have to other people, then I can just free play it. And I was talking about this attorney, and that I want to make sure that what my intention is and what he's doing is congruent. And we're taking our time. I've got very wealthy friends that I've sponsored in recovery, and I'd say causes don't raise money, people do. You can have, I remember Glenn Jackson, they named that bridge after Glenn Jackson. He says, God, I'm glad I wasn't born a woman, because I can't say no. So I've learned if you want something done, don't get the person that's got the time, get the busiest person. They're the ones that'll get it done. But you make it real simple for them. Because everybody's trying to raise money, you know. GoFundMe and all this stuff. But I think a paradigm shift is in order. Oh, man. And I've kept journals for 49 years. I have boxes and boxes of journals. And I've probably written 5 books, but I haven't published any of them because I see what happens to people to get famous. Skip Wilson and Mr. Knight, Phil Knight, and the ducks and the beavers. And used to be that we harvested the trees because the trees we need the trees. The trees are the tree of life, and I teach the sacred tree. And I was teaching it when I was doing my Hamblecha, which is going on the mountain and praying for 4 days and 3 nights, and rising above the fray. That's the eagle, not the ego, but the eagle. And the birds, my name in Basque, I'm French Basque on my mother's side, or on my father's side. My mother's side were the Pratts from Scotland. So I've studied community all over the world because an intentional community. What is an intentional community? Well, I've been to Brighton Bush. I've been to Peter and Eileen Caddy over in Findhorn, Scotland. I spent a week there. I was supposed to take a 16-day tour of Ireland, and 9/11 happened while I was over there in Scotland. So I saw those people bawling like babies because they're so connected to America. And they study plant intelligence and animals. Like, I go out there in my hot tub in the morning. That's my morning ritual, is baptism, the holy immersing into the waters. And drinking water, that's the thing that my face was getting all dried out because I was dehydrated. A lot of elders die because they don't drink water. That's Scorpios and Pisces and the water signs. Pisces, what is the other one? Oh, it's Cancer. Cancer. So it's the crab. And there's the air, the fire, the earth, the water. And that cycle of the winter, spring, summer, fall. We're going into the longest day, which is the summer solstice. And we have 2 more classes. I teach 28 classes a year. And that gives me hope, because I think if we're telling our stories and teaching and healing people about what you know, because if you die with all this knowledge and nobody knows it, we get to do a do-over. Not that we don't do a do-over anyway. I think loving kindness and things like my friend Bob, I appreciate him because he's got good balance of the twins, which is the twins' heir, and we've got an heir down there, Mr. Casey's heir. So that's breath. Thank you for the breath of life. These counselors came in and I gave her a drum, says, we'll play it, and she was going and holding her breath, just tapping it like this. I says, were you abused? Yes, she said. I said, mind, body, spirit, or soul? She said, yes. So, if you're abused physically, like a lot of women are raped, and that creates this guarding that little boy or that little child in there, keeping it safe. As we become elders, our shift is more into meaning, what has meaning, life that has meaning. Because you can't take any of that little dollars with you or whatever but if you're creating with your hands, that's what I do, and I'm 85, and it's hard to find many people older than me. I know some 95-year-olds, so they say being old is anybody 10 years older than you are. So I'm grateful for Bob. I'm grateful for Ashley and Casey, and to have a connection between the children and the elders. Because in the Native community, the elders were the most prized possessions. So I already know everything I know. I don't learn a damn thing by talking. But I learn a lot by listening. And so I've been practicing that. Listening with your heart's ear. So, not just listening with your... Sometimes you act like you're listening, but you really have lost them. So I like people like Robert Bly. He'll say, does this make any sense to anybody? And he pause, and I don't feed from the fire hose like I used to. They could go out on a date and tell them everything on the first date. So slowing down is what we do when we're elders. Like today's garbage day, and Mandy usually does that, and I had to do it, so I did it. But I did it at my pace, which was not rushing. And taking the time to care for myself, cook myself some good chicken soup, a good breakfast, and Gurdjieff and some of the great teachers have gone to becoming cooks. Hey, good looking, what you gotta cook it? If you learn how to cook, you learn how to love a woman. Women are like ovens, and men are like microwaves. So slowing down, play. Like I learned how to play by watching children. I learned that from Moshe Feldenkrais, who wrote a book called Awareness Through Movement. And Tai Chi and Aikido and some of the martial arts. I love Aikido because they practice it at the beach. It's the waves that come back and forth. They say fear is the universal destroyer of harmony. And if you attack me, you're already defeated because you stepped out of harmony. So I just help you take your fall. Because if you fight somebody, that means you're gonna, like, that's what I did when I was getting sober. Is I went over to YMCA in Huntington, West Virginia, and pumped iron. And I said, man, they won't bother me if I get bulked up. Then I came out here and I learned that I didn't need more muscle, I needed more flexibility. So I still get down there and cut out those kids on the floor. And I breathe, because it's a prayer. You put your loving intention in whatever you're doing. It's intention is the first step of volition, right? Isn't that right, Ashley?
I have it written down here: attention, goal setting, initiating action, perseverance, and completing the action.
That's the gifts. That's how you earn the gifts of the four directions. And I was reading. I taught this class. I didn't have the 12 steps in there. I just taught the teachings of the South. And I taught from a book, and I had lots of aids there, which are. Ashley taught me how to do it, but she moves so fast. So to teach your child, I went to Montessori school. I put my daughter in Montessori. And I went to the classes, because the way I was taught is they beat my butt and make me go stand in the corner. So you're punished by rewards. They reward you if you're good, and they punish if you're bad. So, Montessori is, and Waldorf. I had children that I lived with that were in Waldorf. And they have a beautiful philosophy, kind of like nonviolent communication. Bob practices. But the Waldorf says Rudolf Steiner. And the children help each other. Like, nobody moves ahead until the least of them move ahead. So you have the older kids teaching the younger kids. I said, wow, that's a beautiful. So they do origami and all these beautiful, make drums. And Montessori is more follow the interest of the child. You teach them what they're most interested in, not fill their head with stuff that they're not ready to hear. My story is, I flunked out of school when Dad was paying for it, because I wanted to chase women, go down to Fort Lauderdale for spring break. And my buddy I went to military school with, he had a Corvette, and we'd cruise in the driveways, go to the East End, go to the West End. We were cruising around looking for women. And so when you're young, sometimes they put you in school way before you're ready to go to school. But when I got sober, I went back and got because I'd flunked out of 2 colleges. But I went back and went through grad school and got my degree, my BA degree, and then I got an MA, Master of the Arts. And I was, I said, I don't want a PhD because I don't want to teach it. I wasn't ready to teach. That's what the elders do, hopefully, especially the ones that have been through a few storms. We have a lot of wisdom to share. I know Bob does, and he shares it. He goes into coffee shops and starts. Hell, he'll have a drum circle down there in that coffee shop before long, because he listens to people, and he walks up and introduces himself. And they look forward to him coming back. So he sells a lot of my drums. So the best business you can have is referrals. So I don't have to advertise. I used to advertise, but now I ask people to come in the store. I say, "How'd you hear about us?" "Well, so and so told me to come here and get my drum." That's the best kind of business you can have is not having employees. 'Cause that's like having that makes you the boss and they're the employee. So working for hasn't worked well for me. Working with is what I do. Working with others. That's a book out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And you got to give it away to keep it. What's it? Your story, your experience, your strength, and your hope. And your story is very powerful, but when you're in the first ridge of life, which is Frankie, that's the unborn and the newborn. So every night we die, we go back to the dream. That's before we croak at the end. A lot of the animals just go off in nature and die. The body goes back to mama. So the ceremonies that different tribes did, I've studied the Red Road, the path from body to spirit, and from the Black Road, which is from thought to feeling. What do you think about it? Well, how do you feel about it? Well, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm horny, those are core feelings. I'm scared, I'm sad, I'm happy. So in AA they say gratitude is the purest form of prayer. And Mandy is a great help to me because she helps me so much. Like she went out there and cleaned up that shed, and she organizes things and puts things where they're supposed to be. And because I get overwhelmed trying to run the store by myself and then make the drums and then do the classes, teach people to make drums, which has a beginning. I mean, I could go around from south to the west, which is the south is said, who's lying in your bed, who you're sleeping with. That's who's in your bed. That's the lying meditation. And the north is the standing meditation. In the west, which is fall time, or moving into the fall, that's the sitting meditation. So there's walking, sitting, standing, and lying. So every day we wake up, hopefully. If we don't, we're up there in the spirit world. But we're in the spirit world when we fall asleep, too. They call that the fourth ridge of life. That's the elders. And then let go of all attachments, which means don't attach to anything. That's what the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. And Bob and I are educated. I appreciate him because I can talk to him about all sorts of things. And he used to come in the store and we'd draw cards. Said, well, what have the spirits got to teach us? That's the magical part of you. And the scientists, like I've been watching, I've got YouTube Premium. I think, Bob, you have it too, but that you don't have the ads. So I can ask the question like, let me see Tara Branch podcast. I know Bob love that book, Radical Acceptance. And in recovery, they say acceptance is the key to all of your problems. So if you got a problem, it's because you ain't accepting something. You're resisting. You're pushing the river. Don't push the river flows. Say, I had a minister, I was in the clown troupe, so I'd go into hospitals and clown around, get the kids laughing in there that had terminal diseases. And the clown can either be the evil clown or the one that plays with children. And play is defined as having no agenda. When you play, most people say, I don't have time to play, I'll do that when I retire. So, but every day we get to vote to play or not to play. And when we vote not to play, atrophy wins by default. So I've been playing my Casey and was over here in Frankie playing ping pong. So that's watching the ball. That's conscious contact. So contact is when that ball comes all the way to right here, that's conscious contact, touch. So contact means with touch. Con can either mean for or against. Say that conscious contact. I think that was a company I used to have my website on. Conscious contact. But in AA, they say every day we try to improve our conscious contact with spirit as we understand spirit. Whatever your God is. So in AA, there's atheists, there's all kinds of people. There was a great book called Not God. It's written by the early founders of AA. And I said, not God, what the hell does that mean? So that means the prodigal son that's fallen from grace. We're rambling, we don't know where we're going yet. So they call that walking in the shadows. It's like, keep going even if you don't know where you're going. Let your intuition guide you. So that's, AA says we will intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. So there's a deep place in you that knows everything. So that's the crow. That's the crow and the raven. The crow is law. That means if I drop this thing, it's going to fall. So that's the law of gravity. You can pretty much count on the law of gravity. What goes up must come down. So we got the stock market way up here, and it's going to crash just like it always has. Because you can't just keep raising prices on everybody. There comes a turning point. We stood at the turning point. And what is wealth? Wealth management. If you got a few good friends that stuck by you thick and thin like Bob Hall has, you got a friend. And that's the brotherhood. That's men who have good relationships with their brothers. That's brotherly love. That's the 4 types of love. There's physical love. That's Angela Sariansworth that wrote all those beautiful books that I teach from. So I've learned from women and men. I've learned from Bly, Hillman, and Mead, Men in the Life of Desire, how when we're true to ourselves, we're true to our brothers. And that means if you're rich, if you have count on your one hand how many friends you got that aren't fair weather friends, but they're a friend is, and if you're your own best friend, you have charisma, which means the light. That's the peacemaker who brings the light into the darkness. That's that book that Martha used to have, the Red Book. It's Young's work. And I read that book. That's a long book, and it's a beautiful book, the way it's bound. And, Young was one of the founders of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. They went to Carl Jung and says, "We're hopelessly drunk." And Jung told them, "Well, I can't help you." He says, "The only possible thing that I could offer you is find somebody to work with, help one person." And Dr. Bob and Bill Wilson were the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it says the circle. We're self-supporting through our own contributions. So self-supporting means the legs, the earth, which is the south direction. So what supports you? Well, I've been doing deep knee bends because my legs are I'm walking. It's a walking meditation. Because men like to walk shoulder to shoulder. You know, I was in military school. We march, and soldiers march and trained. We're all marching in time. So if you're walking with a good friend, you'll find yourself in chaos. We're out of step, and then we gradually entrain. We come in, and so that's called entrainment. That's a natural law. But things seek to be in harmony. But fear is the chief destroyer of harmony. So fear is, in AA, they say that's false evidence appearing real. That's tomorrow. I'll quit tomorrow. So that's Procrastus in the mythology. Procrastus only had one bed, and he had an inn. He's out trying to sell his room for the night. And if you didn't fit in Procrastus's bed, he'd come in the middle of the night and cut your arms and legs off. So you want things to fit in your definition of what you want. But recovery said, your life's none of your damn business. You stood up and show up, and more is revealed. But men need to know three things: who they are, where they're going, and who they're going with. And Ashley and Casey have been with me, walking all around that wheel, but that was the first rotation, and we all have gifts. When I turn on, I can listen to Bob and pause a little bit. So walking the south is what dreams you have that you haven't manifested. Like what happened to the flying boy? Ambition. When you're young, you want to fly. What's my territory? It's called the flying man. So teaching and healing, I can teach, but I can also listen. That's the beauty of YouTube, and go to AA meetings on Zoom. But Zoom's another tool. I much prefer a circle, because my morning meditation is keeping the ball going 100 times with each hand. Conscious contact, that's staying in touch, 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 touch. So having a big hug, that's but how people hug tell you about their whole history, and if you watch them eat, it tells you all about how gullible they are. My dad gulped his food down, and he'd say, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. He was always impatient as hell, so I started chewing faster and faster, and all my anger was in my lower jaw, so I grinded my teeth because I held that anger in my teeth. But that's the bite, the first bite. Like, what are you putting in your body? Right? As a therapist, I'd say, what's eating you and what are you eating? We are predator and prey. So them sugar ants are out now. They're hard to get rid of, I tell you. I've left offerings to them. Now I'm just killing them. But if you kill things, it comes back stronger. Because you can't kill. That's Stephen Levine's great book, Who Dies? We don't die. That's my brother just crossed over, and he's still talking to me in my dreams. And they said when you cross over, you go through a vortex. Like when you're birds, you go through a vortex. So, in the 8 Gates of Wisdom, one of Angeles Arian's great books, it says, we come through the silver gate, and we go back out through the gold gate. So, the gold gate is let go of all attachments and go gently into the dream. Don't fight. Cease fire. You have to surrender. And that's relaxing. So when you relax, spirit comes in. So I go out in that hot tub every morning till the songs start singing me. I don't sing the songs. The songs sing you. So if you're singing and dancing, you know your soul's not lost. But if you're addicted to, like Aries, fire, they're you might say addicted to both intensity and perfectionism. Those are the first addictions. The need to know and the focused, and being focused on what's not working in your life rather than what is. So that's lack of gratitude. There's not enough. More is better. So I mosey. Like today, I got to take the garbage out, and God, there's customers down in the store. I got to close the store. I got to do this. I got to do that, and I just take my time and say, I can handle it today pretty well, but when I start thinking about tomorrow, it's leaving the presence. So giving your presence is giving your attention. So that's a talking stick. So I am Patrick, and then I'll pass it to Bob and say, I am Bob. You are Bob. Everybody reflects back his name. So it teaches us that the circle has all the wisdom, not one person. So the spirit of rotation is AA. If you got too much money, give it away. Because you can't take any of it with you. But when you're young, your values are a little different than they are when you're old. Like what's important to you. And I really like cooking. I do. I cook for my wife. And I don't spend a lot of money. It's like I have enough. And I'm grateful for what I have. And there's been times like when I did play shops for this New Thought church I joined after the clubhouse burned down in AA. I said, I think I was addicted to AA meetings because I was going every day, and I needed that foundation. I went for 12 years of daily AA meetings, and I thought, well, I've always had an attitude about the church, so I think I'll join the church. So I joined this church, and joined this. I found some beautiful people there, and I think I did a lot of healing in that church about the purpose of the cross. You know, the cross. That's that's your spiritual self. So if you're spiritually abused, that's a pretty serious thing. So in order to heal my wounds around the church, because I was blaming the church for a lot of my problems, so Michael Meade has this great book called Move Towards the Roar. It says the male lions go out there and roar and scare all the animals, and the females are over there waiting for them. So he says, if you walk through a fear, there'll be a place you don't even know about. But the only way out is through. So you got to go, like C.S. Lewis wrote, Alice through the looking glass. So who's that person in the glass that you look at every day? Who is that without all the labels? I am Patrick. It's I am the first and last of my nation. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And if I just take care of today, and when you're breaking addiction, sometimes it's just 1 hour at a time, because addictions aren't easy to break. The addiction to intensity, because that's too many things going on, too much clutter, so to speak. Keep it simple. There's nobody too dumb to get sober, but there's a hell of a lot of people too smart. So, what is sobriety? Sobriety is tobacco, sex. There's lots of addictions, and man, I had some wounds around my sexual thing because I hadn't learned how to bring that lower chakra up into my heart, and that's the green that I wear tonight. So this is the green man. It's often the green giant. Remember that? The green man is Father Nature and Mother Sky. And that's the story Ojibwas have about Sky Woman that brought the seeds to plant to make things grow and put it on the turtle's back. So the Turtle Island is called North America to the native people. So we make turtle shell rattles, and the turtle shakes because the turtle is the 16, the shell. So there's seashells, the chambered nautilus. Like I grew up on the coast, the East Coast, West Virginia. We'd go down to Florida for winter, summer break, you know. Fort Lauderdale, where the boys are. And, so that's when you're young. If I could heal my little child that's in there and not guard it so much, and not try to do it right, but just be real, then you start to shine. It's like this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. So but turning it over to the spirit of rotation. And I would ask, I could go into the gifts of the South. Generosity is one gift. Like, what's your income and how are you helping others? How are you giving? Because nobody gets poor through giving. Well, I'm starting a 501c3, and I raised money for 501 at schools and churches and hospitals. But I'd love to have a church out there, retreat center, a church in Portland. Come in there, and I'm a minister. I'm an elder, and having that store, and everybody wants to come in and look around. I say, who are you, and what do you want? It's called discernment. It's the first lesson of the handless maiden, to get your hands, your creativity back. You have to go into the forest, because you're your dad's daughter, and then you're your husband's wife. But who are you? So that's a beautiful story that I read in Clarissa Pinkola Estes, Women Who Run from the Wolves. Your book, yay! So having books, reading them is two different things. Because you could read that book 20 times and it'd be a different book every time. So we are all changing. There's nothing that's static. So being grateful, like May was grace, but for the grace of God go I. You want to know about grace? Watch a deer walk. Let's go down by the river and watch that stream. Just keeps on flowing, and goes right around and starts singing if there's rocks there. That's the babbling brook. So water is the baptismal. John the Baptist baptized Jesus. So the water is the sacred blessing of the water. Thank you for the water, the clear water, and fire signs, earth signs, and air signs have no trouble with hydration, but water signs forget to drink because they are water. So, fire signs, the ram, which is Aries. Mandy's got two Aries daughters. They're great starters, but having them in something it's like the beginning and the end. So the walk around the wheels is to walk around the four directions: the air, the fire, the earth, the water. And knowing that we all have genius, like Ashley. I say, you take over, Ashley. What do you what do you got to say?
Well, I'm really being sober now, and it's hard. Because if it was for me alone, oh, I would have already given it up, and just gone. I had one day where I had the night to myself. Babysitter, Casey was in class, and usually that's the night when I would go into my back room and go get high and go just do whatever. And then I said, like, oh, I'm not doing that tonight. So what am I supposed to do? And I probably had like a good, I don't know, 20-minute wrestle with myself in my head about whether or not I should or could, or it won't make a difference. It'll be fine. And then, no, but you'll feel terrible. Ah. And then I just went all around and around and around until I just found something to do instead. And and then it's funny, I was joking with Casey today because we got food from this place by our house. And it's a place where I love a margarita. I love to drink a little drink there. And we ate there, and I told him I realized this is the first time I'm leaving this place sober. And it's like it's just kind of realizing in this like more conscious way of all the times that I chose, just seeing the choice, because I think you don't see the choice when you're making it, but you see the choice when you're not making it. And so right now it's easy because it's not for me, right? It's for the health of this baby, but at some point this baby will not be attached to me, and will it be for me? And I want it to be for me, but I think I need to use this time to create those new patterns,
Yeah.
right? And what is the thing that you turn to instead of that? And I have a lot of stories in my head, like I can't do certain things unless I am high, or I can't do certain things unless I am drunk. And I realize that those are false, but it is more fun to be drunk and high than it is to be sober sitting with your own shit, right? So, but I do assume that is, it just gets easier to sit with your shit in your circle of shit. Um, so, I just gotta get there.
Wherever there is.
Wherever there is, just gotta be there. Gotta find the bee.
It's very beautiful.
Hmm.
And Frankie took Casey for a walk.
Hmm.
That's so cool. So, Bob, what you got to say? 7:30. I don't want to monopolize this thing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great. Nice to hear that you're addressing it and still juggling the balls and seeing what happens. I sense that you're being kind to yourself as you go through the process. That seems like that's really significant. So I congratulate you.
He's, she senses it's a girl. So I birthed the last baby I had because I had a midwife. She didn't show up in time, and there I was. I didn't know I had to. Sometimes if a crisis comes, you don't know who your friends are until there's a crisis. A crisis is how people change. They don't think it's a good idea, but ideas don't change things. Ideating is air. That's air. That's breath. So, airheads like to tend to fire because air and fire feed each other. So does earth and water. So as we walk around the wheel, we're accepting different aspects of ourselves, not parts. Part of me wants to do this, and part of me wants to do that. You talk like the inner war is going on. But the elder is one that listens to those two kids that are fighting. It's okay, you two, just start to listen to each other and not all just talking. Because you make a rule and you'll break it. But, we delight in making rules, but we delight greater in breaking them. So, but when you have a baby with you, they're picking up all your emotions, all your struggles, but that baby chose you. See, like somebody dreamed you 7 generations ago. So you have to dream the next 7 generations. That's non-attachment. You teach it. So the green Tara is loving kindness. It's I'll love you until you can love yourself. And what is loving? Loving is like Godding. How are you Godding down here? How are you Patricking? How are you Boballing? And that's a blend of Paul's power. So Paul's means if you don't, that's the 4-7-8 breath. The 4 in, hold it for 7, breathe out with the 8. I take in, because you need it for yourself, self-love. You hold some for you, and you spread it around. So it teaches you to breathe from your belly. That's the sitting meditation. It's your back straight, not bent over like I do, because I make drum. So it's like sitting is a great meditation. It's, my uncle used to he was a preacher. He had a large church in Nashville, Tennessee, and his congregants were little Jimmy Dickens and Minnie Pearl, cousin Minnie Pearl. He had the biggest Baptist church, and people loved to come to because he was a great preacher. He could. And me and my cousin were up there in the balcony throwing a sailor's hat, and it got caught in that big chandelier in the church. And we got in big trouble. But I always saw that my dad was a great man, but I had to get away from him before I could recognize his greatness. He had a shadow and he had the light, and to love the one with baby, because that's a man will never know the pain of birthing a baby, and women are a lot stronger than men. So I have to put my big boy clothes on, because my little boy wants somebody to nurture me and hold me, and so that's self-love. You got to do it by yourself, and you can't do it alone. So I get by with a little help from my friends. That's the community. You have your birth family and your extended family. You go back to your birth family, and Ashley's got sisters and a dad that just had open heart surgery. So loving your mother, loving your father, loving yourself. And June is living in gratitude. I think that's equanimity. It's equal time. In our men's group, one person would start talking the whole time, and we start running an hourglass and say, "Your time's up." So everyone has something to give. Has brilliance inside, but in AA they say we love the unlovable. So I'd go there. I didn't like hanging around healthy people. It scared the hell out of me. I'd go to the bars where my so-called friends were. When I've got an article on my website called "My First Dance." That was my first dance I went to when I was clean and sober, and I didn't have that lubricant, of alcohol. And it was a great article, because it was speaking from, not talking about. So when I realized a lot of podcasts, they say subscribe. Like, how many followers you got? Well, who's the teaching for? Is it for other people? Or is it for you? Giving is receiving. And learning to listen, like Ashley does, if she's not too hungry, tired, angry, or lonely. She's taking care of herself. That child inside her will come out ambidextrous. Have that baby born into warm water, the same as the womb, and then put that baby up on the breast and let it suckle. If we put it, men don't know anything about birthing babies. The midwives, the first intentional community I studied was in Tennessee, and they had midwives there. They trained midwives to deliver the babies. That's the 4 generations. The unborn, that's when you fall asleep tonight. You're in the dream time. That's, many cultures said that's the real time. And then this is the Maya, when you're awake, and then you die again tonight. So you only have the present. There's no tomorrow or no yesterday. Tomorrow is a vision. Was it yesterday is history. You can't go back. Tomorrow is a vision. But if you live today well, then every tomorrow is a vision of hope. Every yesterday is a dream of, like, I'm grateful. I ain't the man I want to be. I've got things I need to take care of. But thank God I'm not the man I used to be. So in AA we share our experience, our strength, and our hope with each other. It's pretty simple. But you get an attorney involved. And they'll take something simple. And it is believed. What is it? What is that? Well, why don't you just say, I believe? It's owning it rather than projecting it. It's take the simple and complicate it. That's easy, but to be able to prune it down to where the speaking's for me, but the listening's even better for me. That's the yin and the yang. So in the north, it's called the dream. So the east, like when I woke up this morning, I was fresh. I say, I wish I could teach these classes at 5 o'clock in the morning. Just did my hot tub, had my coffee, and they say if you put a little honey and warm water and drink it, that'll take away the fog. So I'm addicted to Reese cups. I'm powerless over Reese cups. So that little boy in me wants to eat sugar, Give me something with sugar in it. So I say, okay. Because if you don't talk about your dark side, it's called the black wolf. That's what I think and what I feel. The white wolf is from the dream to the manifestation of the dream. Like I dreamed of a baby's coming. So they're coming together to create where the egg and the sperm, that's a drum and a beater. So what resonates with you? Like people have to hear things. I had to go to 12 years of meetings before I understood what the hell they were saying because I'm stupid. I'm a slow learner. So I say, slow down, Ashley. Don't teach me how to do this. I know you can do it really well, but to teach it. Like when I went to Montessori, they taught kids how to button a button. And they had this big eye here and this button, and they did it so slow. They said, now, see this? This is called a button. See this? This is where I'm going to put that button. That's a cave. That's the slit. So come around and we just slip it right in there, and then look, we can pull it from the other side. And I said, wow, that's amazing. It's simple. But you have to teach children like that, just be patient. Patience is, Jesus says, impatience is ignorance extended. Impatience is hurry, 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 hurry. I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. And then I get tired because I've got too much to do. I don't have any be time. Just being. It was Jonathan Livingston Seagull, the bee, that rose above where the fray, they call it, the fray, where the eagle flies, where the condor flies. They ride the winds of change. So we have air is, that woman was playing the drum. I said, breathe. So she started breathing, and we had a great little, I was playing the flute and she was playing the drum, and I was dancing in her rhythms. I say, find your rhythm first, because that baby's going to entrain with your heart. So if you're scared, that heart will go boo, 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 boo. That's the eagle's heartbeat. That's the east. You want to get things started, you have to take the first step, and that's the ram. It's sure-footed. Rams like to butt heads, and they're good starters. So finisher is Pisces. That's the 12th house. Supposedly Jesus had 12 disciples. It's called multi-level marketing. You go out those 12 and make other disciples. So spreading the gospel, the preaching, the minister. Get on your soapbox. But in the Aboriginal people on those walkabouts, they would have a new leader every day, walking the song lines. So there's also ley lines. Like you walk down in South America, they got different ley lines than they do in the Himalayas, where your relatives come from. The Buddhas, the Himalayas, Tibet and Nepal. You know, she brought me back some beautiful mouth harps from Vietnam, and I love those Vietnamese mouth harps, jaw harps. And drum circle, they're beautiful because you should make all kinds of noises. So play. When I do a drum circle, I say, you don't have to drum. You can just be here any way you want to be. You don't have to do. You just lay down and let the rhythms carry you. It was the great Reinhard Flattister from Vienna. He was a lot like my dad because he was a fire sign. My dad was Sagittarius. So was my uncle. So they were great friends. They were initiators, like fire signs. But the finish, like making the drum, has a beginning and an ending. And so it's like I've got my grass out there get pretty high because I used to go out and cut it, but I've been so busy in the store. So that's why I'm setting up this trust to put that Heartspace in a 501c3 as a retreat center. So the church is here, the retreat center's there, and have a place for the elders, a bed and breakfast, a place for the children, because they're our future, and a place for the adults. and having diversity of skills. Like working together, Mondragon did that. There's cooperatives in Spain. It was a group of very spiritual people that started their own businesses because they had their own credit unions, their own banks, and it was an independent so when you went to work for them, you were an owner, you weren't a worker. So it's a beautiful concept that I think is salvation rather than the billionaires own the networks and they tell you what the news is. And a lot of people get stressed out just by turning the TV on. So I say, a little dab will do you. Like, don't make any rules because high states are critical for our health. Nothing wrong with getting high. Children love to spin. That gets you high. So there's a lot of ways to get high that's not involved with drugs and alcohol. But the first drink's the one to avoid, not the fifth one. So, and when I went to AA first time, I argued with them. I said, "Oh, you guys don't have the only way to stay sober. You're right, we don't claim to have. I hope you find a way. We found a way." I was fighting for my right to drink. I fought for my rights and everything turned out wrong. I tried it my way and my way wasn't working very well. So the surrender is part of Trump's doing the best job he can do. You're fired. The art of the deal. That's what he knows. So, but he's not the problem. He's the symptom. So I can't change. The serenity prayer in AA is accept the things you can't change. And have the courage to change what you can. And have the wisdom to know what the difference between those two are. Because I can't change Bob, Casey, Ashley, but I can change my attitude. Slow down, because that's the flute. The flute dances in the rhythms of Mama's heartbeat. Now you're carrying a little one, and they're both and in that womb. It's hard to determine if they're boys or girls, but they'll choose. So that's your teacher is being born. So you have to take loving care of that. And, that Lama's way of birthing children is what I learned in therapy. Was those children come out balanced with left and right brain, so they know what. They're the warriors of the future. It's going to change this world. So we have to take loving care of the little one inside of us men. And that's why they Sundance, to take on the suffering of the people. There's a lot of people out there on the streets and learning how to weep, how to cry, and let go. That's the time I'm scared, like a little baby will say. If they're exposed to war, they'll start shaking. Calling them. It's what the Quakers, the shaking Quakers. So these Quakers were next door. I had a militant version of the Quakers. It's protest against inhumanity to beautiful people. Now that house next door is for sale. I said, well, I called my brother and I said, he's got millions. I was fishing. I went fishing. I said, man, that'd be nice to somebody wants to come here and study how to make drums or something, it'd be nice to have a place for them to have. That's zoned residential. And, I knew the people for years. We got along well, and I appreciated having a neighbor like that. But now it's up for sale, so I called my cousin, I called my brother, and I told Ashley about this house next door. If you're a church, you have to have a place in the city because that's where the people are. And it seems like I'm doing more business the more I stay closed than when I was open 7 days a week. So it's like learn how to say no, or to discern. Who are you and what do you want? You want to browse? Well, I got a website. Go browse on that. Or give me the keys to your house. Let me go browse, see if there's anything I want. You have a browser, but computer are nothing but zeros and ones anyway. That's the drum and the beater. Bob?
It's really been a very interesting and informative night. I really enjoyed your contributions to that, Pat. But what I'm looking at me, and I do the drumming, and I do my continuum movement and all of that stuff in my Vipassana meditation and work it all together. And I just more and more have seen the areas that I need to explore in me. And it's really because I know in my being that I have to love Trump. Not on a physical level or not that level, but on the concept of universal love. There's a stream out there that's available and is where the real juice of the universe is. And so I've gotten more insight on how to explore that and to start questioning stuff that, what is my reason for this? And I find, I just want it to be right. That type of stuff, flips through all the time for me. I'm doing the exploring. That's what I'm after, trying to meet that challenge. And so I figure I'm at the perfect time to be able to explore that aspect. And I feel like that's really important for the universe for me to come to peace with it. I've sort of made my contribution, whatever it's worth. I don't know what happens. If that goes, then I don't really care. That's the best I can do. So there's just grace out there, and I want to jump in the river more.
Well, don't push the river. It flows by itself.
It does a great job of it too.
I think you gotta love him like Shiva, the destroyer.
Oh yeah.
Because he's destroying the world so a new one can be created.
Yeah. I'd like to add one thing to that, and I agree with you, Pat. But also I'm thinking who more than if some human was going to transform themselves, somebody like Trump, somebody like Putin, somebody like every, dictatorship out there, if I send my prayers to well, or however I have different ways of approaching that, but those people have the chance of having the most impact transformation. So I say, that just confuses me more, but I got some truth in there for that.
Yeah.
I don't have it straightened out, but I know that chaos I like to always play in. It's there. I've noticed
That's
that.
beautiful. It really is. It's like the beast and the beauty.
Yeah.
It's embracing both and, not either or. So Trump's being the best Trump he can be. So that's rational emotive therapy. That was just because an asshole acts like an asshole, why are you upset? That's the way assholes act. So that's
But he does. But you also have to acknowledge, like you said, the absolute damage and pain that he's
oh
created.
yeah. Well,
So it's a
that's Jesus would say, forgive him. He doesn't know what he's doing.
well,
So that's a loving kindness.
I, I still think there's a design flaw in there somewhere.
There is, but don't attach to it.
That's right.
So you'll suffer if you
My,
attach.
my radical,
Acceptance is the key.
I keep reading that book and reading that book, and every time I pick it up, I say, "Oh no, God, I have to go through this again."
Well,
And that's the medicine I need to walk through.
Rollo May had a great book. It says awareness without action creates new guilt.
That's right. And I'm too old for new guilt.
So Bill Wilson says you're only as sick as your secrets.
Yeah, I love that saying. I've heard you say that many a times.
Yeah.
It really
So
resonates.
so confession is good for the soul. So somebody should know everything about you, but not everybody should know everything about you. That's where discernment is.
Yeah, but if I go to a priest for confessional like I used to when I was a kid, and then he gives me 10 Hail Marys, well, I've forgotten the prayer, so what do I do?
That's like they asked Steve Martin why he didn't pay his taxes, and he says, I forgot.
Exactly.
So I think taxation without representation is, if you're not represented, that's what they left England for, to find the free America, the land of the free. So the pendulum goes one out to one extreme, and then it comes back and goes the other way. That's the non-progressive Great Spirit. So if you're just focused on what's in front of you, like I notice I'm scared I have to let go of things, but that ain't easy. Well, hell no, it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. So that's why AA says easy does it, but do it. So,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
patience.
I have that book, non-attachment, radical non-attachment. And that in many ways is the biggest challenging book that I've ever read. Just because I know it's that part about
Let go. Yeah, release. My cousin sent me all these bass fishing magazines, and I don't read much of them because I didn't go to catch. He went to catch. How many did you get? I go to fish. I release them all, but I like the wily trout. And knowing what's hatching from the stream, the mayfly hatch. And June is all these hatches come at different seasons, but this is the time when the larvae that are living in the water come out and gain wings. That's the dragonfly. The dragons are Scorpios, because that's rising from the ashes. So sometimes you got to burn away the beliefs that you're holding that aren't serving your highest good. So the fire is what burns. But don't get too close to the fire. You'll get burned. Just warm. Keep things warm.
Well, when you're in Minnesota, you don't mind a little heat.
Well, there's only two seasons up there, summer and winter.
Right. I'm not so sure about that summer.
Well, it's down in Texas is a little different.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, I love teaching and I love having people here, and I do much better if we're in a circle in person. But this is certainly a way to teach also, and for future people. So telling our stories are real important. But having an elder like me that's telling my story, but also learning how to pause, to feel it. You gotta feel it to heal it. So I'm scared. I'm angry. If that little kid's angry, like Francie comes in, I'm scared. You hold them and you comfort them. We got to do that to that little one in ourselves. You've got one in there. Just picking up everything Mama's thinking, feeling. But don't forget that high states are critical for our health. Nothing wrong with being high. But your legs are about ground, earth. So the dream, the 7 generations. Who dreams you, and what are you dreaming? The world loves a dreamer. But then you have to begin the first step. And that's the RAM. That's to be a starter. Did you read the book? No, but I started a group. We're going to read it together. So, well, that's your way of doing it. It's perfect. Everybody's right where they should be. And being grateful. I don't know what time is it.
8:06.
8:06. Is Casey still there? Is he listening? I don't see him. Anyway, that's self-love. Is just taking care of ourselves, learning, also teaching. I'm glad you're reading all those books, Jamie Sams, and stuck in a pile of shit. The things we learn, like they used to do a snipe hunt. Where I was from, they'd put you up on a mountain and say, we're going snipe hunting. What the hell's a snipe? Well, we're going to chase him down here to catch him with this burlap sack. So we'll go up there and run him down the hill, and you catch him at that sack. Then they'd all go home. There I was holding that sack. Where in the hell are they? And then I finally figured out, I'm here by myself. I'm going to go home. But that's an initiation, I guess you call it. How we initiate the children.
Yeah.
Fraternities, and service clubs, Rotary and Kiwanis. Those are all things to learn from, because everybody has something to teach you. Donald's a great teacher. but don't take him too seriously. So if I didn't turn on TV, I wouldn't know about those wars. I just want to know the weather. I go outside.
Yeah, but there's also so much killing and damage and perpetuating the next
Yes, there
war,
is.
the next war going out and all of that. So I don't know. There's got to be transformation in a major way.
Well,
Mother Nature doesn't really give a damn about global warming.
no. But when we're clear cutting our trees, I'd take a stand. Because that's like raping a woman.
They, but I mean,
Well, that's my war. Because I got land out there that they.
yeah. But just what I'm talking is just there's some things that it's non-recovery. I mean, the Earth is going to be swallowed by the sun, so
Yeah.
we know we're not going to be there forever.
That's why be grateful for today and
Yeah,
learn and teach. Give away. You do that really well. And you also take care of yourself. So that's, I think, what the elders can teach the younger people.
yeah, I think so.
At least I think when you go through that final breath, to say, well, how are you Patricking down there? I said, well, I did the best I could. And it's not God or love, it's loving. And that's loving somebody.
I also appreciate using verbs like you brought that up for me, and that does make a difference as opposed to using
Yeah.
the noun. It has a different ring to it. I like that.
But that COVID that was a spell that was really still going on. But that's the beast inside of me. So it's an aspect of me that I don't feed anymore. I used to feed it. Like, but the hero is the one that withholds. It's like Mama Bear. When those kids are ready to go, she runs them off.
Yeah.
Ferociously. They want to come back, but they want back on the tit, but no way. So knowing how to nurture yourself, and like women are the givers of life, so that sustains us. When we stop having babies, I guess we're snuffing out life. Be grateful, gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. And taking care of ourselves, like if you're working for, it keeps you real busy. And the smarter you are, the more they give you to do until you, it's called the Peter principle. If you know how to do something really well, they'll promote you into something you can't do. So it's like, if you want to raise money, you go to people with money. Because people raise money, not causes. So a 501c3 is my legacy. It'd be like drums, rattles, and flutes, and teaching, and the wisdom of the elders, and respect, and compassion, and quietness, and help, good health, honoring the babies, the youngins, the adolescents, the adults, which is the south direction. And then the elders is going back into the fall. When, like those I was looking out there on my driveway. I got these bamboos out there that need cutting because everything's yang now. Everything's maturing and going into full bloom, like the roses. I got Mandy these beautiful yellow flowers, sunflowers. Bought her some soil to repot them, and when she's gone, I'll take care of them. So learning how to keep something alive is, for a man, is a great teacher. It's something I learned. I learn in silence. I've got the TV, and I know they track everything you do. But if you got no secrets, you ain't got nothing to fear. But my grandpa always said, pay yourself first. So if you're making a salary, put some aside for you, or you'll never have anything. So, and keep a little, give a little away. That's the spirit of rotation. We all have beautiful gifts, but it takes somebody to draw them out, to appreciate them, and that's loving you. That's for the love. I love you, Ashley. And
I think as elders, that's the responsibility we have to help them open, because we certainly can't change anybody. We can open them to
change my attitude.
You can change your attitude, but what I'm talking about, it's like today, I was walking back from a coffee shop, and this guy came up there and said a great beer, and I really liked my beer. And he got talking, and he was going through, I could tell he was a single. I mean, he was gay. He was gay, and very lonesome. I can tell that. But I told him about some of my experiences and all of that, and he's excited about that. But he's only read about meditation and all that. And he wanted to do all of this stuff. And I said, that's all you got to do is get started. You don't have to. It's a process. You want to take your time. Give yourself.
Yeah.
And how much of that sticks, that's not my, I have no idea. But he walked off a different man. Just, on a 15-minute conversation and a block walking home. And
that's beautiful.
That's where I think we can just contribute so much, because how much, when I was his age, an earlier age, somebody come up to talk to me about meditation and all that, and and it was introduced, I introduced him to it. It's something that he heard of, but it goes where it goes. That's reward.
That's beautiful. That is. So we probably pretty close to 8:30, are we?
It's 16.
Well, if I did a closing prayer like I do for our groups, the elders call in spirit and send them home. Offer special prayers for all of us, for those two children that Casey and Ashley are tending to. One's in the oven. Make special prayers to that little one, because we all came from the waters.
Will do.
Yeah. And we pray for good health, long life, for quietness, respect, for happiness, for compassion, feeling the wounds but not taking it on, empathetic. And we pray we're all safe until we gather again for our 5th meeting, I believe, or is it the 5th? because the solstice is on June the 24th, 3rd, 4th, somewhere around there. But
We had 2 more classes, I believe.
solstice, yeah. So we offer safe journeys for all of us until we gather again in circle. Aho. So, did you stop the recording? Since you